Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Open Mic Comedy Podcast. I'm your host, Marc. This is your first time here. Welcome. If you're a returning listener, thank you. If you're thinking I fancy giving stand-up a go, then this podcast will guide you on what to expect on this crazy circuit from those right in the middle of it. From comedians to promoters to MCs and tutors. Today's guest has a problem with some London underground stations. He's not a fan of Holborn, but he's a bit fine with a bit of Kilburn. He's money conscious, so don't buy sandals, people. He's probably one of the smartest dressed men on the stage until Jimmy the Cat comes out, that is. So please welcome to the stage. It's Mr. James Townsend.
Hello.
Hello, how are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Yeah, I'm okay. It's bloody bleak outside now, though.
Yeah.
Summer is over.
I know, it's so disappointing. It gets shorter and shorter each year.
Yeah.
So we just have an afternoon by like 2035.
But let's start at the beginning then. So comedy for you. Why and how and when?
So I did a course maybe 10 years ago.
Yeah.
It was like a 3-day, it was a Shakespearean acting and stand-up comedy 3-day course. New Cross Theatre, something like that. It's downstairs. It's not there now. I think it's flats now. And I mean, it was an experience. But then the guy said to me, he was like, "Oh, do you want to do your? I've been doing a 6-week course with a showcase. Do you want to do 2 minutes? Everyone's doing 5 minutes. You can do 2 minutes." So I was like, "Yeah, sure. I'm a comedian." And I'd written maybe a paragraph, ish, of like one-liners, which I originally wanted to do one-liners. I went up, I told my last joke first, and I went, "Fuck this," and just walked off the stage. I was like so embarrassed, and then I tried a few gigs and that, and then I stopped. I started it up about 4 years ago, and then and I did another course on Logan Murray's. Mm-hmm. But in my head, I was like, "Oh, I've got to do it." And I remember I was, I was dating a girl, and I was like, "Yeah, like technically I'm a comedian." But she'd never seen me like for years, like in that little middle bit. I was like, "Yeah, I'm a comedian." And then one day I was like, "I'm going to put a gig." And she was like, "I think you probably should, because you talk about it a lot, but you don't actually do it." So I was like, yeah. So I tried a few, maybe 10 before I actually tried to start doing it properly. Yeah. But I like comedy. I used to watch a lot of comedy as a kid. Tommy Cooper, Jasper Carrot. Just like it. Plus it gives me a chance to just talk.
Yeah.
I like talking.
So you touched on it there. You started doing one-liners. Did you carry on doing that for a while and then kind of change later, or because I've got to say your comedic style is kind of quite unique, especially when you get into ranty James mode and you see this fella on stage just kind of lose the plot over something so simple. And it's hilarious to see, and it's amazing to watch.
You sound like my ex-girlfriend. I mean, there's a lot of it that is just me, to be honest, because I can have a tendency to just. But originally I started doing one-liners. That's what I wanted to do. I like wordplay. I think it's obviously because it's all wordplay, isn't it? So like you're just depends how simple or condensed that play is. But I just couldn't remember it. Couldn't remember the order, or if you're a storyteller, much like yourself, you've only got maybe 3 cue points to remember, essentially, because especially if it happened to you. So right, okay, so I went to the shop, and then and then the man said the thing, and then he tried to hit me with a spoon, right? Yeah. And you're like, right, that is the build up of the thing. But you've got like maybe 25 jokes that you could be doing as one-liners. So I kept forgetting it. And then I went to G&B one day, right in the early days, and I'd written the whole thing on my hand, obviously, and I'd never met Kyle before.
Oh, no.
So I'm in this competition. I had the whole set written in my hand. I'd had a long day. And he met me at the top of the stairs. And he was like, "What do you think then?" And then he said to me, he was like, if you don't learn your set, you've let the crowd down, because they've come out to see you. Like, Imagine if you'd done that at the theatre or whatever. I thought about it. And then a couple of weeks later, I went to another G&B night as it goes. It was early days of the thing. And I was having a real shit day. Hadn't prepared for it. I was going up on stage. And you know those gigs when you're just like, do you know, I don't even want to do it. I'm just going to go home. But I had a bringer. I don't know if you know a guy, Shabazz Mahboubi. He's like my favourite comedian, the funniest guy in the world. And he was like, yeah, I'm on my way there. So I went up. I just started riffing about my day. You know, this happened. And then just getting really, really wound up. And I was like, oh, that feels a little bit more me. Because I was just being honest.
Yeah.
Rather than like writing joke. And I remember a mate of mine and his wife, I went around their house and I was like, oh, what do you think of this joke? And he went to me, your journey here about the drive here and the people that cut you up on the way and the stuff you saw was funnier than the jokes that you've told. So I was like, oh, if I'm a little bit more honest about it and just talk as opposed to like plan. It's like anything, isn't it? If you plan anything like compared to it being natural,
yes,
two very different beasts.
Yeah, very much so. So that's where the rantiness kind of came into it.
I mean, I could go off the handle at anything. Yeah. I had a one-to-one with my boss yesterday, right? And like we got to the end of it, and I thought it'd gone really well. Like I thought it'd gone great. If I'm honest with you, I get to the end of it, and she goes, "Oh right, okay, so now I just need to discuss this," and just like pulled this notebook out, and it was just ages. And I was like, "What's that?" She was like, "Oh, these are the complaints I've had about you." I was like, what? What? She was like, yeah, unprofessional language, unprofessional behaviour. Yeah, you told someone this, and I was like, yeah, but that's hilarious. And then he's like, can't say that.
Yeah,
can't say stuff like that. So yeah, I can just. It's not intentional. Very rarely does it come from a place of hate or anger.
Yeah,
I just like moaning.
Yeah, I can't remember what the actual theme was, but I remember you did a bit, a Comedy Incorporated night, which was around something in an office, and you was going backwards and forwards between people. I can't remember what the story was, but I remember watching you on stage going, "This is ridiculous." I'm just like, I'm watching this guy going from one side to the other, talking about presents or something. I can't remember what the story was now, but it was a while ago. But it was like this explosion of energy that the room had not had for the whole night.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden it was just like, I'm here and we're just going nuts. And just like, this is cool. And I love the way, I alluded to the joke earlier, the sandals one.
Yep.
It starts off so placid, and then it builds and it builds, and then it hits, and you get the flip of what the actual thing you're moaning about is.
Mm.
And then there's the picking up of the shoe.
Yeah.
I'm intrigued to know if that sort of thing is pre-planned, or if that happened and went, oh, it worked, and carried it on, or...
It's hard to remember, if I'm honest, but sometimes, because I do similar things like that with undoing the tie, shirt coming undone, jacket coming off, shoe coming off. So it's hard to know, because some bits I've gone, oh, I'll do that, and then other bits I've built on. But yeah, like some things have just happened naturally, and I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, that works. And then other things have been like, yeah, because I like the idea of, so wearing the suit. Someone once said to me, oh, when you wear a suit and you get on the stage and you just look like you've got your life together, you look like such a nice young man. And then by the end of it, I realise you're fucking mental. And I'm like, so do you know what? Actually, I think it was the downstairs at the King's Head when the shoe came off. Yeah, because I go, ring-a-ding-ding, ring-a-ding-ding. The callings from destiny. Will you accept the charges? So, yeah, I do remember that. Yeah, the shoe just came off, and then I added it to another bit. But now, and I think the office bit you're talking about is maybe Noel Edmonds?
Yes.
Possibly Noel Edmonds.
Yes.
So now I've incorporated the shoe in that bit, and I've added it onto another thing. So it's built. I mean, the Noel Edmonds joke I've probably been doing for about 2 or 3 years. And then it started as like a standalone, and then as I've written other things, it's merged, and now it's merged. Like whereas the shoe and the sandals thing. So yeah, so I like to do a lot of surreal stuff, but now I'm definitely doing more of the, hate to say conspiracies, but like I'm trying to talk a little bit more about just the state of the world And then like what I quite like doing is towing the line, which I do in my normal life, towing the line between those mad conspiracy theories and the stuff that is so mental it is actually true.
Yeah.
And like that's what's going on right now. I mean, there's so much. Only have to. You can tell politicians lying because their lips move. Do you know what I mean? So
yeah.
So I'm trying to do those things, but the surreal stuff's what I like. The surreal stuff's what I like. That's just where my brain goes. I love it.
Yeah, because the suit thing's quite an interesting one as well, because the way you come on stage and present yourself is very. It's almost like. Do you remember the film Falling Down with Michael Douglas when he's in a car and he's going to work and he's stuck in a traffic jam and he just flips and he goes. I think he goes into a burger joint or something to order a breakfast and he's 2 minutes too late for breakfast time and he just goes mad and pulls out a gun or something.
Yeah.
And it's just like that whole progression of somebody. You look, like you say, you look at yourself on stage, smartly dressed, very dapper, very trimmed, ready. And then as it moves on, Angry James comes out. You're like, oh, this is quite cool. This is not what I was expecting. And you flip the audience and you kept everybody entertained and on their toes.
That's the thing. Like there's a lot. And thank you. Like you sort of, so I used to have a couple of props. It took me a while to work out what I wanted to wear on stage. I wore a coat I had like this big sort of woolly coat and I had various bits and pieces in it. But obviously everything that you wear, everything that you do on stage is part of the performance. So whether you are, utilizing your uniform or not, like your beard, your hair, if you've got mad hair, you can put props in there or whatever. So everything's being evaluated constantly on the stage, and you can pull the rug from underneath other people. If you are to use like a shoe or like, a magician, if I was to pull something out of my sleeve all of a sudden, it just, so it's trying to use that thing. I watched a Steve Martin thing ages ago, Steve Martin on stand-up at masterclass or something. And the first lesson that he said, he was like, if you come out on stage and go, hey guys, how's it going? Like you've wasted a joke. Because you can just walk out on stage and be like, I look like this, or isn't this room weird? Or this guy in the front row looks like Barry Manilow, I don't know. So, and then that's your joke. And then the more I thought about that, I was like, oh, okay, everything about that immediate moment when you go on the stage is potentially the setup to a punchline. So I just try and see it like that. And then also I like the fact I've had a couple of people where I've been like, oh, what am I doing wrong in my career? And the main thing that I seem to get back is like from like really established comedians. And I'll be like, no one really knows what you are. No, you've not got a hook. Like, no one knows what you're going to do.
Yeah.
And after a while, I've just been like, actually, I'm quite cool with that. I quite like the fact that everyone's like, it's like, oh, James is coming to the stage. Like, the fuck is he going to do? Like, what is he going to do tonight? Here we go.
I think that's a really good way to be as well, especially on the open mic circuit where you see a lot of the same people over and over again. And I'm sure you've seen it, haven't you? You when you're in the audience, you see the same people doing pretty much the same sets over and over again. But it's nice to have that little bit of okay, what we in for tonight?
Yeah,
and just seeing that difference is it makes the night more fun as well. So I say keep doing what you're doing because I think it's great.
Thanks, man. Honestly, I do appreciate it, and for the most part, I do love it. We all have those evenings where you're like, can't be bothered. And every time you think that you've had the worst gig or the weirdest gig or the strangest, like something comes along as well. So that's still fun, and then that becomes a set in itself. So you never know what's going to happen each day anyway. So
no.
And then sometimes I'll be going to the show or at the show in the crowd, and I'll have something in mind. Like, right, yeah, cool. I want to talk about, this thing that had going on holiday or whatever. But then someone might say something, and I'm like, oh, I could just sort of riff off of that. So I quite like sometimes I practice a lot and I write loads. I have a stupid system for writing my jokes, but then or preparing for them. But then sometimes I just change my mind at the last minute, and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But hopefully through more experience, I'll know how to pivot easier. But it's, because I also think that the majority of things is capturing the energy of the actual night. If I'm going to go up and talk about something that's actually slightly more relevant to the room than my story about my dad's operation or whatever, it's just better for everyone. And it's quite nice as well. But I do have a lot of different types of things that I've done before, which is cool, you know, and I will continue to do so. So you talking about that Jimmy the Hat thing, that was a gamble.
That was, I mean, when you walked out on stage, I was just like, wow, okay, what is going to happen now?
So just to fill people in, so basically at Signature Brew in Haggerston at Comedy Incorporated. So the week before, it was Valentine's night, right? It was Valentine's night this year, and I was doing some writing, and I thought it'd be better to do the writing dressed as the Cat in the Hat. And then I just started, and I may have been a little high, and then this costume just built and built and built, and I was like, yeah, I've invented this character, and he lives in fairy tale land, and he's an X-rated fairy tale character. And then Steve was like, roll it out, MC half the show, and then he had to go somewhere. He was like, MC the whole show, and I came out. And I'd concentrated so much in the uniform, I'd forgot to do a whiskers on. I came off the stage and someone was like, what the fuck was that, man? And I was like, I'm a cat. I was like, look at my tail. He was like, didn't see the tail. They did not see the tail. I had 5 minutes of material that I had to stretch out 2 hours of MCing. But I did it. And that's the thing. And to be fair, Steve's logic was, if you don't do it tonight, you'll never do it. And if you're going to do it, you might as well just do it for the whole thing. I was like, oh, fuck it. Yeah, that makes sense. And you never know. Like, I'll come back to that. I will definitely come back to that when I've got a few other things that I'm doing at the moment. That's got to settle down. We'll go back to it. But again, it's just trying something and seeing if it works. Because that could have been my shtick. Next thing you know. So, and you never know until you try it.
No, definitely. You touched on, you said the words, I've got a weird way of writing jokes or something. Or a weird way of logging them. So what is that weird way? What is your process with joke writing and stuff?
So I will write all day. At work, I will have either a notebook or just a piece of paper that I'll jot everything down. And then that piece of paper, or notes on my phone, and then that piece of paper will be transferred to a notebook. Then that, and it will be like, so it will go from like an idea. Oh, colonization is just one big stag do that got out of hand, right? and then that. But when you think about it, do you know what I mean? We just got pissed in other countries and just went around shagging people. So maybe cut that one out. Right. So then that will, by the time that goes into the first notebook, I would have had that second part maybe or whatever, and then I'll put it in another notebook. And then when I'm on the way to the show, I'll take those 2 notebooks and then I'll write the single jokes out as a set. So that second notebook will be more of a set. And then the third one will just be one word from each of the jokes that I'm going to do. In similar structure as the one-liners, what I used to do. Because that one word might represent 4 sentences. And I'll put that in there. And then eventually, once that's better, I'll come back. My life is so fucking convoluted. So then I'll come back and then and during that space of time, I would have fleshed it out. So I have a microphone and then I'll just put my headphones on when they work and I'll just talk. So I might have all of these notes in a thing and I'll put them in a spreadsheet and then I'll type that up into like a proper set.
Yeah.
So I'll come back. So I might have written something a year ago that finally I'm like, okay, cool. I've done this out. I've done this multiple times. I know it now. Now I'm going to properly write it down because then now I can add bits as I go. Does that make sense? Well, it probably doesn't make.
I get where you're going. It's just taking a little concept, building something around the little concept, and then maybe parking it for a bit, and then coming back, and then building the script around it, possibly using other stuff that's happened in that time gap that you've had.
I'll have it written in multiple different places so that so I've got a spreadsheet that will have just sentences, but then I have them all laid out for like sex or religion or politics or whatever.
Yeah.
And then a set. So then I've got all these different sources of where it is with other bits of information. So when it comes together, it ends up clashing with something completely different. And that's where I can find the surreal stuff. Does that make sense?
quite an interesting way of doing it, actually. I never thought about when I do take notes and stuff when I get a random idea and I put it into the phone or write it down on paper, whatever. But I never put them into categories of type of jokes they are or the theme that they're on. Because I guess that's quite a good way then of being able to build a set based on the theme. You go to your jokes and go, oh, I've got these 15 jokes about politics or whatever. Let's see how I can take these 15 separate jokes and put them together to make a set.
Yep.
That's quite clever.
So it just and that's so sometimes if I do want to riff at a show, I don't do this nearly enough, but if I want to riff at a show, I'll just on the way I'll look up those things. Yeah. I'll be like, cool. And I might remember only one joke, but then that works, say sex.
Yeah.
And I'll just make this sort of crude comment at the end and it fits. So, yeah. and then, okay. Or I'm never going to say that again. And then I'll come back and I might do that thing. But it's, like there is literally a method to the madness, but a lot of my jokes will come to, like, say the Noel Edmonds bit or the Gordon Ramsay bit. They tend to come to me maybe 3/4 formed. So I'll talk into the microphone. I find that's the best. Like, genuinely, any new comedians listening to this, I would say get yourself a microphone and a stand and some headphones and just chat shit, slag your boss off, talk about your nan, whatever, and then all of a sudden jokes will start coming. You could get a 20-minute thing, and then you'll put that down into a 10-second bit. But that's what I do. So if it comes, I'll talk into the thing as well, and then eventually something like that forms out. Because the Noel Edmonds bit ended up coming as a stupid conversation I was having with a friend of mine. I was like, people who just can't let a joke rest.
Yeah.
And I was like, wouldn't it be funny if you just like literally you took that joke from the guy in the pub that you'd mentioned it right the way to your boss? And I was like, oh, right, cool. And then I've spoken to the thing. It's taken me about 3 years to work it out. But now a lot of people would say it's like my main joke. I've had people go, Noel Edmonds. I'm like, no, James, but
yeah.
So do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I think you make a really good point actually about the microphone, because it reminds me of one of the earlier episodes we recorded with Jim Hooker, who I think this was a great tip, I think, for any newcomer, especially very, very newcomer, was that if you can, in your house, flat, whatever, have a microphone and a stand set up. He said, because you try walking past that and not grabbing it and just talking into it randomly. And by talking into it randomly, even if you're not prepared to say anything pre-planned, you never know what's going to come out whilst you're holding that microphone. And as well as being able to kind of develop ideas, because there's that mic staring you in the face going, come on, pick me up. You then get used to handling a microphone, pulling it out of a stand, making it look seamless, make yourself not look clumsy. Especially in those early, because I remember the early days, like the first thing you do is when you walk on stage is you're focused on that microphone, or I was, in the stand going, right, how can I get this out and then say hello and not have silence and all of this as you're doing the build up before you even get started. And you watch people like Kyle, when he takes a microphone out of the stand, you don't notice he actually takes it out of the stand because it's so seamless, because he's done it thousands upon thousands of times. Whereas you see certain people, you literally rip the microphone out the stand rather than slide it out.
Yeah.
And it's that whole thing. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. That is that, because and what's happening? The crowd is picking up on how worried they are about the microphone. Whereas someone else who's relaxed, they're looking back at the crowd. So all you're taking in is the fact that they're aware of you.
Yeah.
No, I totally agree with you. And it's good techniques. I find a lot of people at the moment as well. You know, Shane Gillis. Everyone does the Shane Gillis.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, but I think it's important to have your own way of doing it. I remember one of my first gigs. I was holding the mic like a rapper. I was like that.
Yeah.
Because I'm a white boy from Bromley, so obviously I listened to nothing but Compton hip hop when I was 14, 15. So it's just, but it helps as well, just to be used to it, used to the weight of it, used to the feel of it, get your way of doing it. And like you say, just be used to taking it out the stand, moving it. Because everyone does it first 3-6 months of stand up, they take it out and then they're just standing behind an empty microphone stand.
Yeah.
As well. So you've got to get used to moving it.
Yeah. and you kind of move it in secret in front of everybody. It's a magic trick. And I always find the little intricacies of all of this quite fascinating, because when I started in stand-up, it looks like, oh, bloke walks on stage, bloke grabs microphone, moves stand, says hello, how you doing, and then cracks on with a few jokes. But those first 10 seconds are the most crucial part to your next 5 minutes. Yep. And getting those bits right are, once you get those bits right and nailed, then you're kind of coasting.
Yeah, I agree.
It's such a great tip, is if you can have a microphone stand on a microphone, especially I always say don't buy a cheap Amazon £5 microphone, for example, because that's not the one you'll use on stage. You'll probably be using a Shure one of some kind that, okay, it's a little bit more expensive, but look for a secondhand one, even if it's just even if it's broken, it doesn't have to work.
Yeah.
It's just getting used to the feel of it and how much it weighs in your hand and where you feel comfortable holding it.
Yeah,
you do see some people that are you get the ones that like Sarah Keyworth. She literally holds it by the cable rather than the body of the microphone. And like you say, you get some people that hold it really up high, and some people down low, or some people cuddle it, and all of those things project a sort of image to that what you are on stage.
Yeah, 100%.
As a newbie, you never understood it until it happens.
It just gives me confidence that you know what you're doing when you go up on stage. Because anyone who looks nervous, and gong shows are the best for dealing with that. Anyone with any sign of fear, you pick up on it as soon as you get on stage. You pick up on that energy. Because stand up is one of the best transfers of energy in performance, let alone the world. Because it's like, if you're having a bad day, the crowd aren't necessarily going to have a good show, because you're going in there, all focus is on you, so that vibration is just exchanging. So and especially you can feel it when you walk in, when you walk on the stage. You know, when people are like, oh, tough crowd, and then you get up on the stage and you're like, fuck, this is the energy so low, and that's the point that I like to pivot. But it's all part of it, because they're judging you as soon as you get on the stage, and that's not something that I ever, because we all have an idea of who we are in our head, and then which is completely different to the person that people see, which is also completely different to the person that you are projecting. Do you know what I mean? There's all those three. There's like three different ways that you can be perceived. So, and then when a showcase that I did, there was a guy, Zach, the Greek comedian is his Instagram. Can't remember his name. Funny geezer.
Yeah.
Came up to me afterwards and he was like, I thought you were going to talk about beer, football and tits. And he's like, and you're running around talking about spiders controlling your thoughts and stuff like that. and he was like, and it worked because I did just, and that's the thing. And I don't see myself as like, oh, beer, football. I haven't got the attention span to watch football. Yeah. But I like a drink though. I like maybe have the odd refreshing beverage. But yeah, so like doing something different, but I didn't realize the way that people would perceive me getting on the stage. So now that's something that I can play with, hence the suit and whatever. Something that I can that I can do, because also it's a status thing. Someone said to me, like, are you wearing a suit to try and be high status? And I was like, no, like not at all. But then as soon as I open my mouth and then start talking about the things, you're like, as I said, you're not like, oh, this guy is a little bit he's a little bit more surreal than I expected him to be. So yeah.
What would you say your best and worst moments you've had on stage are?
I've had a few bad moments. What's interesting is it's harder to recall the good ones.
Yeah.
Because I had this conversation yesterday because I had a really weird show Tuesday. The best moments, I might go into work the next day. How was your show last night? Oh yeah, it was really good actually. Yeah. Thanks for asking. How was your show last night? Fucking hell. We went in. There was one member of the crowd. He was deaf, and do you know what I mean? And then this happened, and then the pipe burst. So your worst shows are your funniest stories.
Yeah.
So it's hard to. I've had a couple of good gigs, and I have had a few good gigs. Worst moments. I had one. So I'd done backyard comedy.
Yeah.
A couple of years ago, and I really got in my head. About it because I was like, oh, this is, like, I could get in there with David Ward, and then like I actually get some spots there. And I'd been doing just loads of open mic ones, so it was like a newbies night. So it was free entry or a £1 entry, something like that. Go in, and what I'd done, which is something that I no longer do, is I walked from my work through this place practicing my set. I don't tend to practice any later than like up to like 2 hours before the show. I won't practice now. I just put it out of my mind. I'll meditate. I'll do something else, whatever. I'll go shopping, anything that's not thinking about my set, so I can relax. And anyway, but this one I'm going for it, and I'm doing this Noel Edmonds bit, which is like really high energy. That's what I'm going to do. And I'm like, right, everything's got to be on point, all my words. I turn up, I'm sitting there in the crowd, and then the crowd start coming in, and there's like 4 or 5 quadriplegics in wheelchairs with their carers. And I'm talking, when I say wheelchairs, I'm talking like actual Stephen Hawking style.
Yeah.
Like they're not moving. So I'm like, so that's the whole middle row.
Okay.
Physically can't laugh from the get-go, right?
Yeah.
So then I'm on like 9th. It's crowd at the front. Mostly comedians at the back. And it was a weird gig anyway. Like this guy in the first thing, the first performer, this guy got up with his phone and gave it from the crowd and gave it to the comedian. Everyone's like, oh yeah, interactive. Guys going, I've just come out of prison. They've just dropped me off here. I just came in. I didn't realise it was a comedy club. Can you tell my dad where I am? Like weird way to start a show.
Yeah.
By the time I've got on, right, I go up on the stage and I just felt the energy was off. Everyone was tired. I'm jumping around. I'm no Edmonds, oh yeah, you're laughing. I'm fucking jumping around. Not a bean, right? Just dead silence for like 5 minutes solid. So I'm starting to panic. So I'm talking faster and faster. I'm like, if I just commit more to this bit, that will help. And like, I don't know if you've ever made eye contact with someone so severely disabled that they can't communicate to you vocally that they wouldn't want to be in your position, but you can see it in their eyes. That's when you know you fucked up. So, yeah, and I walked off the stage, and David walked back on the stage. I'll never forget it. She went, "What the fuck was that?" And I was like, "Oh, thanks." So yeah, so that's the one I'll think of. But I've had loads. I went up on stage once, and I was just in a real bad mood, and I was a bit drunk. This is the problem. I'd had a couple of drinks before. Like I'd had a can crack, so I had to down it, and I'd ended up going on stage. I was about 6 pints deep. I just opened my mouth, and I was like, "Life's shit, man." Everyone was like, "What?" And I was like, "Yeah, And then like, I've done this, and then and I just started talking about my day, and that wasn't good. Wasn't good. I just started moaning, and I walked off the stage, and I said to Steve, I was like, "I don't know what happened there, mate." And he went, "No, it's just everyone was just aware that you were drunk and you just had to get some shit off your chest." So, all right, fair enough. But in regards to good nights, I do have so many. The majority of the shows they're nice evenings. Do you know what I mean? Like I couldn't say like, "Oh, it was good." Like there's not a particular moment. Like, I've not really won competitions. I don't really think that for the most part, a lot of my style is designed to win gong shows, really. Like I know I will do some. I'm not one. I've beat the black out a few times or got to the end of the 5 minute, but I think a lot of my stuff is you need like 5-10 minutes to get into it. Yeah. So there's not been any actual like proper like achievements, but it's like most nights, like I did a gig last night, Ginger Giggle Club. It was just a nice evening. Everyone done well. Everyone was funny. Yeah. I come back in a good mood. But I'll forget. Yeah, like I said, I'll forget some of the best nights because it's almost like what my brain's expecting to happen is it will go well. Everyone will be funny. It will be nice. The bad stuff stands out to me. I think that just shows my personality. Being a negative person. I don't know.
I think it's a normal thing though, isn't it? I mean,
yeah.
I've probably got 2 or 3 really standout gigs for me.
Yeah.
That I look back on and go, yeah, that was pretty cool. But then I've also got quite a few. One particularly horrendous one, which overshadows those those three really good ones. I will never forget the really bad one. It was, second ever gig, and I swear to this day that if I didn't have other gigs booked in, I probably would never have got on stage ever again.
Really?
Yeah, I went from my showcase. It felt like a riot. It ended up being 7 minutes of pretty much fairly continuous laughter. Brilliant. To second gig, nothing for 5 minutes. I'm just stood there going through the motions of a new set I thought was a really good idea to create. There was a young man in the front row who had Down syndrome. He was enjoying himself throughout pretty much everybody else's set. It was fine. But there was a point where I swore and he put his hands over his ears and shouted no. And it was like, oh. And it didn't occur to me till the end that the point was he's obviously been told that swearing's bad. So he feels like he can't hear those words. But because I wasn't getting a reaction, you go harder. So I swore more and more. Yeah. And I got off that stage and went, well, I think that could be me done. But I will never ever forget that. I've still got that video. I paid 10 quid to the Cavendish Arms or whatever it was to have that video. And I don't know to this day why I did it. And I've never watched it back.
Watch it.
And I don't think I will ever watch it back.
Do you know what, right? There's one. So my first gig return, my triumphant return, like after, when I started doing this Logan Murray course, everyone was like, oh, you've done a gig before. Why don't we go to the Cavendish Arms? And I was like, yeah, cool. I'll sign up. Like, I'll do it. And I think of the 8 of us that went, I think there was 2 of us. And and it was roasting hot. And I had this Fred Perry shirt, this particular Fred Perry shirt. And if I got even the slightest bit warm, it would be drenched in sweat. I don't know why I wore it that day. Long sleeve shirt, hottest day of the year. It's like June or July 2021. I went upstage and I'd done 5 minutes about porn titles that I'd made up. And, yeah. And I'm dripping with sweat. I just look like a dirty nonce. And there's no other way to put it. And then afterwards, and I was like, right, okay. So I bought exactly as I bought it. And now I watch it every couple of months to just be like, one, I'm going to do that set again. I'm going to do it well. But like, secondly, just remind me that actually I was so uncomposed there.
Yeah.
And then now I genuinely feel like I'm in my element when I'm on the stage, flow state. Like it's just, and that's the thing. And people go to me all the time, oh, do you not get nervous? I'm like, no, not anymore. I used to. Yeah. But now it's just like whatever. Like used to get, I used to book the day off of work. And I'd sit there and I wouldn't practice and I'd feel sick and and then now it's the one part of my day I'm not worried about is the 10, 15 minutes I might be on the stage.
Yeah.
Getting there, getting home, work shit, like all the other life stuff, but like the one part of the day that I'm cool with is actually being on stage.
That's good.
It's a bit that I look to. It's like heroin. No, because it's that release. It's that cool. Like stand-up comedy, a lot of people who've been doing it a while will see it as maybe not necessarily like a drug, but it's certainly addictive. Like it's when it goes well, it's better than the best cocaine and a blowjob you've ever had in your life. But when it goes bad, that is 4-day crystal meth bender. Oh, I'm coming back to earth. Do you know what I mean? Because you're lying there and you're not sleeping.
Oh, I hate that feeling. It's even when it's a good set and it stops you from sleeping and it's going around your head going, oh, that was really good. And you're on a high and you're like, no, brain needs to turn off now because I'm fucked for the next day and I've got work to do. That whole thing when they talk about, is it the Sarah Millican rule of 11 o'clock the next day, you don't dwell on whether it was good or whether it was bad. Mm-hmm. I'd love to do a 11 p.m. thing, but my brain just doesn't let me do it. It's horrible.
Yeah.
It's recounting everything that's gone on. It's just a pain in the arse.
Do you have a process before you go on stage? Do you have like a little ritual you do or anything?
Not really. I always like to get myself prepared in that I know when I'm on, I'm kind of timing the person that's on before me to be, you know, if they're on for 5, then I'm at 4. I'm kind of positioning myself to a particular point where I can get onto the stage easily enough. I don't get so much nervous now. I get an adrenaline rush. And when that adrenaline rush kicks in, it's like it might manifest itself as nerves or talking quickly or something. And that's something I've struggled to actually keep under wraps. But the whole process of just deep breathing, I tend not to drink before gigs. If I have one, I would probably have, it sounds ridiculous, just one lager shandy or a lager top or something just to take a little edge off. And that's it. But yeah, I've not got a proper process. I just do things that I just avoid doing things that I know that will end badly. You know, I don't know.
No, I agree. Like if you start drinking before going on stage, like I've had it a couple of times now, and like being actually pissed on stage, and you're like, you're seeking that perfect 2 pints. Like everyone loves it. I'm the man, but then you end up like 4.5 pints. Like, another thing. Anyone else can fuck off. Do you know what I mean? So, but yeah, that's good. Breathing's. I have a little breathing thing that I do and a little meditation that I do beforehand. But I don't have anything that I do to decompress afterwards. So I was thinking, like when you were saying about the 11 p.m. thing, because sometimes it's better now because I tend to be so tired, good or bad, I can sleep for the most part now. But that's just something in my personal life I've always had an issue with. Maybe having a little ritual to put it away.
Yeah, I'd love to be able to, but I used to do a thing where I'd come home because I live outside London. I wouldn't be getting into like 11, half 11. I come in, I'll just go to the kitchen and go, right, I'm not ready for sleep yet. So there's no point in me laying there next to the wife going wide awake and she's snoring away. I've got to go, right, get something to eat, sit down, watch a bit of telly and just let decompress a little bit and get to the point where you feel so tired you have to go to bed. And because you've had your mind distracted by whatever's on the telly or whatever you're watching, you're not thinking about the comedy. So it's like get to the point where your eyes are closing and then go to bed and then hopefully you just fall asleep. But inevitably, it doesn't happen like that. You get to bed, put your head on a pillow and go, oh, that comedy show was all right, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It's like, fuck.
Yeah, but do you remember when you were 6 years old and you dropped your lunchbox and everyone called you a bender? And you're like, oh, I forgot about that.
It's just so, it's a nightmare.
Hi there, I'm Reb Day from episode 36 and I do apologise for this interruption of the Open Mic Comedy podcast. Every comedian painstakingly takes us through their journey into the comedy world, and even though it might sound like they hate talking about themselves, they actually love it. And I hear you asking, how? How can I, a person with the ability to listen to podcasts, give back to those whose idea of a good night out is being applauded at and praised? The answer is simple. And the answer is brilliant, because it's free. All you need to do is give the Open Mic Comedy podcast a like, a follow, and hey, maybe even a 5-star review. Thank you so much for listening to the Open Mic Comedy podcast. I've been Reb Day. Let's jump back into the episode.
So you've been doing open mic comedy then and other comedy, I guess, for about 4 years. What's your general experiences then of the circuit itself? And
it's all right. It's all right. It's a good way to spend your time. Like, it's nothing like what I expected.
No.
It's like, oh yeah, stand-up comedy. Go up and tell some jokes and it's cool. Like, no, tip of the iceberg. It's like 10% performance, 25% writing, I don't know, another 15% networking, 50% admin, maybe. Or, I don't know, those numbers are a little bit off. I'll get the final figures to you by the end of the day. But yeah, like, you meet people, friends, rivals. You meet some other people, like you just sort of. It's that part. It's been cool. I've made friends that I'm probably going to know for life.
Yeah.
I've had ex-girlfriends. Part like actual like relationships. I've of various forms that I would never have, you know, and you're sharing moments with people. I've had some really nice moments with like crowd, like members of the crowd who go like, oh, that was really funny, or like doing, you know, like doing Steve's Tall Tales and Cocktails show because he's storytelling. I told a story once, and this girl's come up to me afterwards. She was like, that was really cathartic. Like, I was talking about like why I stopped drinking, the issues that I had with drinking, and then coming back to drinking. She's like, that was really cathartic and really open. And I was like, I don't know how to handle this. Like, it's just been amazing. Like, some of the things and the places that I've been to, the stories. So, like, for example, Tuesday there was a show, and it was just really, really weird. It was really, it was like the toilets were overflowing, so we had to do it like pretty much out in the street. It was like this open bit, but all the comics for the most part weren't just like people that I knew. They had people who started at the same time as me. So it was like Steve, Barbara Fernandez, Henry Wiley. It's people that I've been to multiple shows with and are like friends now at this point. So you're just sitting there, you're like, this is ridiculous. And now this is just another shared moment. But there was more than usual. It's like 10 people that I've known really well, and probably done more than 40 gigs with, you know, each separately or whatever. So, and everyone knew each other. That's huge. That's huge. Yeah. So it's been good. And I've had moments when people have come up to me in the crowd and said nice things, bizarre moments that have happened as well. And then now, as much as I enjoy a night in and a night off, I'll sit down and I'll be like, what am I going to do with my evening? Like, if I've not got, I mean, to be fair, I am normally quite busy, but like, I'll try and, because I live by myself, so I have to go out and do things. Like, I don't watch TV anymore. I haven't got the concentration span for that. It's all fucking lies. And so, so I just, and you realise you've got like 4 or 5 hours, because you've got that hour travelling there. Yeah. You got the half an hour before the show. You got the million, like the 2 hours of the show, the milling about afterwards and meeting people and the friends, you know, catching up with people. And then you come back and you're like, I actually spent so much time doing this thing that, is it a hobby? Is it a potential career now? Is it my social life? There's no thing. It's like, if you go to the gym, you're that half an hour that you're going to the gym, you put your gym costume on, you go to the gym, you come home, you decompress, taking that costume off. It's the same with work. Like, I have a uniform for work. Yeah. But I thought wearing that suit would be me putting on my uniform for work. But it just transcends all these different barriers, because it is my social life, because I'm going to a show. We might go to Steve's show that we're friends with, and then we got a sort of personal relationship with, but then it's business when you go on the stage, but then you go out for a couple of beers, and then just become, I don't want to say it's become my life because it hasn't. It's got other factors, but it's ended up being nothing like what I expected, and it's just been a really, really nice journey for multiple Reasons. Yeah. I've learned a lot about myself. I've learned a lot about other people, and the reason that you can connect with a comedian so much. Sorry, I've had a whole fucking cafetiere of coffee, so I'm just on one. Like, you meet the comedian like properly. So when you go to a show and they let you into the outlook of their mindset. Yeah, they let you into their world, and they smash it, and you're like, wow, Marc's wicked. Like, he's got real good perspective on life, and that was beautiful. That was clever. I mean, funnily enough, you bump into him the next night, because that's how the circuit works. You see him 2 nights in a row, but you've never met this guy before, and they eat shit. Like, and you're like, oh mate, like, are you all right? And you're like, nah, do you fancy a beer? And then,
but you bond over that. It's this massive. This is the one thing that I always never appreciated, was that as a stand-up comedian, it is you, just you on your own.
Yep.
But there's this whole other network of people that you have this shared experience with, because not everybody smashes it every time. Not everybody dies every time. So everybody has the same kind of level of experience and know how somebody feels. And you know when you see a mate come off stage and they've had a bad one, you both know. You look at each other and go, "Doesn't matter." It doesn't matter. It's almost like it's almost like a football crowd. You're all in it for the same thing.
Yeah.
And when one of your team on that night achieves something, you're happy for that person. And when something goes badly, you want to console that person.
Yeah.
And help them through it because you know what it's like being on that other side. You meet so many people, but it's the camaraderie that you get through that circuit is just second to none.
And it's just, and as you say, it's the look coming off the stage. Like, for some reason, I look straight at the floor. If I've had a good gig, I look straight at the floor because in my head, I'm like, remember the things that you missed, what worked, whatever. And when I come off and I've had a bad one, I'll look straight at a mate and they'll be like, like, oh, you can't. Do you know what I mean? Like, and it's just that. Yeah, I totally agree with you. But you've seen a moment in the eyes how they're dealing with the struggling or how they're dealing with it going well or whatever, and it's you meet someone, and there's like everyone wears a mask in life and society. That is, you know, and we have our shadow self, and we have the person that we're projecting to the world, but all of that's lost when you're obviously you're trying to put a character forward when you're doing that thing, but everything is exposed and bare in those little moments.
Yeah.
And like, I mean, I don't know if you put yourself into a character state or like there's a Marc Cox in capital letters when you're on stage, or if there's like a little, you know, whatever, and then the rest of your life is it's a different version. But like most people embody a character when they go on stage. Like Beyonce has Sasha Fierce, man, and it's this different person when you're on stage. So, and then that takes years and years to hone. But then she's dancing around and singing songs that she's pre-recorded or whatever. She's not dealing with a drunk geezer who's just stood up and gone, "Get your tits out."
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And you're like, oh, what a prick. But then that performer, then you see them deal with it in real time and stuff like that. And these are all things that happen, like that I've seen before. And then, once again, you see that real person. You see every different side of them. And it's different to theatre acting as well, because again, everything for the most part goes to plan.
Yeah.
Whereas when you're a comedian, it's just you and a microphone. Fucking anything can happen.
Yeah.
And you just meet the person. It's mad, actually. It's such a weird way to spend your time.
I know.
You know what I mean?
It's odd. So somebody that's never done it, you can't explain why you do it, really. You can say, I get these highs when it goes well and all of this. But I guess if you're the sort of person that's into drugs and you're trying to explain to somebody who's never taken drugs the great thing that you've experienced on whatever it is, that person will never understand it until they've done it. And I think that's so true for this.
I agree. Totally agree.
You know, it got to a point sometimes where a mate of mine would come with me regularly to see me perform every week. And he'd kind of almost get into the circuit without being in the circuit. He never performed, but he'd be like, "Oh, who's on tonight?" And I'd list off like the names. He'd go, "Oh, that's quite a good one then." Because he's used to seeing these people and he's kind of ingrained himself on the outskirts of this circuit, which is really weird to see. And he's like, "Oh yeah, that person does the joke about that and does the joke about this." I'm just like, how do you remember this? It's just weird.
It's but it's nice to know that there are people, like I've got a couple of friends now that I've met who they love the open comedy circuit. They'll never go up on stage.
Yeah.
And they'll talk about it and they'll review the jokes, because you forget also, like, when you see so many comedians, and I mean, how many gigs have you been to and it's just comics?
Oh God, yeah.
Like, it is what it is. And then you have a crowd and you always think, oh, never going to see those people again. But some people, that's their thing. And the good thing about the open mic circuit, I mean, don't get me wrong, obviously I want to be doing theatres and stuff like that, but the open mic circuit, it's full of the weirdos and the reprobates and there's never been a more wretched hive of scum and villainy. And
yes.
Just unfiltered, utter bollocks. And I'm like, that's what I'm here for. I just want to see a crazy man go mad on the stage. And then that's what I'm here for. I'd like 100%. But then, you're doing it to make people laugh. And then they'll remember that. And then they've got their thing, and everyone's got their favourite comedian. It doesn't matter. You don't have to be on TV to be someone's favourite comedian.
No.
And it's great.
That's quite cool. So you mentioned that you've done some MCing before as well, but I know you run your own night as well, don't you? Yeah, I do. Go on, what's the details on that?
Oh, it's just chaos. I've run a few different nights over the years. I've run a few different nights. I don't generally like. I'm not great at admin, to be honest with you, but it's kind of part and parcel. If you're a comedian, you tend to run a night local nearby. I mean, this one, it's a pub. A friend of mine's local pub. We'll go down there. They're amazing. It's the Railway in Bexley. It's amazing. Sometimes I have 3 people in there. The 3 regulars, and then sometimes you'll have like 30, 40 people. It's fucking. I'm sure you can imagine. Like all of my nights are just fucking chaos. There's no order to it.
Yeah,
but yeah, it's good fun. Like the last one we did, Richard Todd came down, and he ended up doing half of his set outside, looking through the window, which is great. We had Adam Bloom down there once. I think I've got his book around here somewhere.
Yeah.
Had Adam Bloom down there once. I mean, tonight I don't know how it's going to go, but it's a good night. The bar staff are amazing. I do photography for the club, for the pub as well. So like when they have events on and stuff like that. So it's like that's probably the closest thing I've got to a local as well. And you're part of the community and stuff like that. That's another factor as well, like how important it is to, with all the places that are closing down at the moment and all the stuff. It's rare that you have a local these days because there's so many fucking chain pubs that on bars down the high street, but it's nice to have a place where you go to and there's regulars and stuff like that as well. And I think that's important, and actually going and seeing live comedy rather than watching it on TV. It goes through the Netflix filter and you can't say this and you can't say that and all these different like clear total like polished things, but like actually having a room full of people that are sitting there and mingling on the break, having a couple of beers, doesn't matter whether you drink, having a laugh after, having a bloody laugh after the show, like it's great. And the Railway is one of those things because it also like the room is completely split. You've got the people, it's in a pub on the stage. If it's apart from the stage, it's all the things that I look out for not having when running a venue. I've run a few different things, like the pub's not separate, right? There's a load of people there that couldn't give a fuck. Right? There's a group. There's the Thursday club there. Every week, every month, or goes monthly. You gonna come watch comedy? No. You ask us every month. No. Like we're just here to have a quiet drink. And then now I've been running there for about 8 months now. Now it's a bit of a joke, but at first they were like, fuck off. Fuck off with your little Amdram improv group. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, hi guys, do you want to have some fun? But now they're like, look, we listen. Sometimes it's funny, sometimes it's not, but like, whatever. And then down the front, got the regulars and my friend and Phil Saul, just absolute legend, the geezer who I used to work with and hooked me up with the place. So now, tends to be like my brother will come down and there's like maybe about 10, 15 regulars that are there now as well. So it's cool, but it's still like the front door is right next to the stage. She'll just do an amazing punchline and some guys will just walk in and go, nah, I'm all right. Or just go, should we go next door? And you're like, yeah, cheers. But it's part of it, man. It's genuinely, it's part of it. And it's just fun. Like the paradox about taking comedy seriously is so mad because some people, they take it so seriously and then they forget why they do it and they forget that actually the whole point is you're supposed to have fun. You go to competitions and gong shows and all my laughs per minute and all of that stuff is important. You have to know, you have to appreciate, you have to progress and stuff like that. But sometimes you just think like the point of this is just it's ridiculous. It's absurdist. Like it's just like what we even doing in the first place. Do you know what I mean? I'm a man standing here with a bit of plastic that makes you hear me louder. Like it's all ridiculous anyway. Life's ridiculous. Like stop taking it so seriously. You won't get out alive. I've had a lot of coffee. A lot of coffee. I woke up about 10 minutes before this started as well. It's like,
So right, if comedy progresses for you then and things start going well and you get to do a decent length special or something in the future, what music would you pick to walk onto the stage to, if any?
I'm just laughing at you saying decent length. Thank you very much. One day, there's a song called "Fear of the Dawn" by Jack White.
Okay.
I like that coming out on stage. Yeah, I like that. Or "I'll Be Your Dog" by Iggy Pop. You know, I like that as well. So yeah, so I've got a show. So I'm doing. I was working on it last night actually, which is why I was up late last night, talking into the headphones. But I'm doing a show, or I'm redoing a show called Paranoid, or How I Learned to Stop Worrying and Love the Fear, which is a play on the old Doctor Strangelove. I don't know if you've seen it. Great film. And so I rolled it out, and I'd done like 3 shows a couple of years ago. And when I started writing it, and what I actually performed were totally different. And then I'm like, I'm wheeling that out now. But what I did originally, I made a video with a remix of the thing from Willy Wonka. You know, there is no earthly way of knowing which direction we are going. And I had that as like the intro to the show, and I made this video as well. Like I like the whimsy of that song, but then also it kind of, there's a lot being said there. There's no earthly way of knowing which direction. Is it raining? Is it snowing? Is a hurricane blowing? Not a speck of light is showing because the danger must be growing. Like, I think that's quite a cool thing. And again, going back to what I was saying earlier, the song that you would use, it really sets a presence. You know, what is this person about to use this sort of? So yeah, I don't know. And again, you've got 3 answers there to one very, very simple, very simple question. Yeah, but I've got a show coming. I think the end goal. I'd rather like to work on a TV series than like a stand-up special. Like I got into stand-up mainly because I want to write sitcoms. I've got a couple of ideas. I want to make shows and films. But I was like, this will be part of the journey. I didn't realise I'd enjoy it this much. Yeah. But that for me is the end goal, is making and producing TV shows. I've got a couple of clear ideas how I'll do it. Yeah.
So you said you've got a show coming up. So what's the plan for those ones then?
So I've got some dates at the Rosemary Branch in September, and then I've got one in July, and then I want to do more. I want to spend the second half of this year just trying to do, like, I doubt very much that I'll go to Edinburgh. I'd like to go to Edinburgh, but I doubt very much I will, just because of work and shit. So I thought I'll try and use August to do some venues that are going to be empty, do an hour's show, just start concentrating that. Because when I wrote it, and to the time of performing, like what I actually wanted to do and say are very different. And then in the 2 years that have passed and the things that have happened to me in those 2 years, I'm like, oh, actually now I've got a bit of a story. Whereas before, I was just hammering, like I've got a narrative. I was just hammering together 3 or 4 seemingly unrelated bits or sets that I'd worked on that didn't really. But now I'm like, a load of mad shit has happened to me during that space of time. And with a name like that as well, Paranoid, or How I Learned to Stop Worrying and Love the Fear, like I have actually learned that. And then, so I'm like, oh, actually, hopefully, by the end of it, there'll be some sort of conclusion. People go, oh, okay, cool. He has been on a journey, and hopefully off the back of it, people will learn I can teach the world to sing. And then they'll go off and they'll all not be scared anymore, and then there'll be no more paranoia left in the world. But do you know what I mean? Like, I've got what I set out to do initially. I wasn't happy with, and actually I didn't know what I was doing, which is the journey of making this thing. But now I feel like I've actually got something that makes relative sense. I mean, it's still me jumping around shouting about Noel Edmonds and Gordon Ramsay and a load of bollocks, but but at the end of it I go, oh yeah, but I learned this little thing. So, but it's definitely the way forward, is doing more. I mean, I don't know how long I can keep going to turning up and like there's one person above a pub or whatever, and it's very competitive comedy, because there's so many people doing it, and so many people doing it well. I mean, there's people doing it badly as well, but so many people doing it well, and there's so many people like advancing in their different way. But I'm like, I think the way forward is running your own night and having a show that you're working on, and then using those 10s and those 5s to either make that show better or start working on the next one. So I think that's the pivot that I've got to do, because at the end of the day, like, I'm not doing this for money, but it costs me money, so I at the very least need to get something back from it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's the thing, isn't it? The open mic circuit is such a big outlay. I mean, depending on where, if you're lucky enough to live near London or in London, then it's not too bad, but it's still expensive. If you live outside of London, you're making, you do. This is going to scare a lot of people off, but if you live outside of London like me and it costs you 20 quid on the train, 10 quid to park your car, and you do 100 gigs over 2 years, that's a lot of money.
That's a lot of money. That's a lot of money. And comedians that are coming through and listening to this, you can claim it back for HMRC. I'm just letting you know. Get your taxes straight. So there are things that you can do to subsidise this, but it is a lot of layout before you earn on it. And even when you're doing spots, like, you drive to the other side of the country, 20 quid. You're like, fucking... That covered my dinner on the way back. Do you know what I mean? Because it went badly, so I bought a milkshake.
This is one of those things on this circuit, is that there has to be you either have to accept you're doing it for pleasure and fun, or that there is a real long-term goal. You might get there eventually.
But if you can carve out your own scene and your own style and your own circuit by running a night, by running these shows, you can march to beat your own drum. And I think that's something that I've only really just discovered is a thing. You don't have to be beholden to waiting on other spots, whatever. You can get up and do it your way. Because you don't hear, and you might not hear back from promoters, because I used to put a form out and I'd get 150 applications in 48 hours. And you're like, and the thing is, you want to book people that you know, not necessarily because they're your friends, but also you're like, I know they're not going to go up and do a Nazi rant on the stage, which is helpful. Do you know what I mean? So you've got to do that as well. So there's so many people applying for these spots, so it's hard to get out and you go out and then find your shows or whatever. It's hard to get in front of people, but if you're running your own night, you're creating your own opportunities.
Yeah, no. I full kudos to people that do put the effort in for their own night and stuff. I've done a couple and I've gone, that was a lot. In terms of, you try and put on if you're trying to put on like a proper show as such, you've got to get your seating sorted, you've got to get your sound sorted, and that's not in the venue, so you've got to get that from outside. And you start putting all that together and you kind of go, yes, that's a lot of effort. But if you can make it work within the means you've got near you, then I always say go for it. Because I'm sure people like Chris Alley, for example, who runs the OM Comedy Club, will only say he's got better because he's put his own night on, because it's given him more stage time and it's made him more comfortable in front of an audience doing MC work, and then being able to take that into being a performer as a stand-up set rather than an MC. So
yeah, totally. Because you're flexing different muscles, you can try out new jokes, laugh with people in the crowd, and you're relaxed. Like, it's like when you see, especially with newer comedians, they go on the stage and it's very robotic because they're going through their set, and and we all do it. That's not me knocking anyone, but when you're an MC, it's like you go up and everyone's cool because everyone knows that you're winging it. So that little balloon's popped. So you're like, all right, cool. That tension's removed. You can just go up, and then you've also got the get out of jail free card. We're like, well, that joke didn't work. Do you want to see a real comedian? Hey, and then bring on your John Smith. So you've got that. So by relieving that tension, because effectively the whole point is be relaxed on stage, be water, and then you just go with the flow. But that tension, that awkwardness comes from, oh God, what if it fails? What if it fucks up? Whatever. But that all just, it dissolves over time. And MCing is the best way to do it. So you go from doing your 5 minutes once a week to literally doing like 20 minutes on the stage, dealing with a drunk person, dealing with all these different things. And the sun always rises in the morning afterwards. So once you're on your third MCing gig, it's just cool. It's just cool. And he's a great MC. It's a good night, that. It's a good night. He's a really nice bloke. He's a really nice bloke.
Yeah, I love Chris. Chris was episode number 1 as well. So he was one of the ones that made this podcast happen. There was the first 4 people. So there was Chris Ali, Hassan, Kim Hope, and Jim Hooker. And I had it set in my mind before I created this. I had these 4 people, and I'd ask all 4 if they'd be interested in being the first 4 guests. And if one of them said no, none of this would have happened.
Really?
Yeah. Because I wanted to get that mixture of experience and the type of people they are, because they're 4 very, very different people. You've got Kim, who's been in it for years. You've got Jim, who was fairly new to the whole thing. You've got Chris, who runs his own night, and you've got Hassan, who was breaking into professional level at the time. So you kind of had the 4 bases kind of covered of what people on the open mic circuit would want to achieve.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, without them 4, without Chris, none of this would have ever happened.
Interesting. What was your main goal when you set the podcast up? Because it's doing well.
My main goal was that when I first started, I'm a heavy podcast listener, and when I want to learn about stuff or something entertains me, it's usually a podcast. So when I started, it was like, right, I've now done my showcase. I want to do more comedy. How do I do it? And you can search whatever podcast you want on about comedy, but they're all pretty much professionals who are talking about their day in the life of what they've done, headlining at Wembley Arena or whatever. Or even if they talk about the how they got onto the circuit in the early days, those days are probably 15 years ago, so they're not that relevant to what it is now. So I wanted that information to know, okay, these are the places to go to. These are people that are involved in it, and these are what their experiences are. So it may give me an insight on what could happen to me. So I went, well, there is nothing there. The only thing that looked close was I think it's called the Open Micer podcast, but it's not about comedy. It's about all open mic, poetry, music, a little bit of comedy here and there. So there's nothing UK based about this. So I went, let's try it, see what happens. And I never realized comedians love to talk so much.
No, well, there's obviously that ego element as well. It's going on the stage, but it's we do like to talk.
It's also it. I don't know about yourself in relationships and stuff, but if you've been in long-term relationships and you're doing this, generally your partner gets very bored of you talking about it. So there's nowhere to talk about something you're really passionate about with other people that are passionate about it as well. So these kind of chats aren't. Yes, they're kind of. Some may think they're structured as interviews, but it's the in-between conversation. Like everything we've spoken about has come from a place of passion about this doing comedy. And it's nice to do that, I think, every so often, just to go, that was great, and I've learned things about how you structured jokes and how you've written jokes, how you categorize jokes. And somebody else has probably never thought about that. And they may look at it and go, that's a really good idea. I'm going to take that and going to run with it and try and do something with it. And it's like the whole circuit is a give and take thing. I think a lot of this, you only get out what you put in. If you don't put a lot in, you won't get a lot out from other people. But if you're a sort of person that wants to share and help, then you get stuff back out of it at the end of it. That was very methodical, wasn't it?
It was. I liked it. I mean, that's a metaphor for life there, really, is you get out what you put in.
Yeah.
Whether that be education or energy or relationships. You get out of it what you put in. Totally. And often tenfold as well. It's karmic.
But,
so
let's bring it down a notch then.
All right.
I want to set you the comedians challenge.
Yeah, go on then.
For any listeners that if this is your first episode listening, I like to set all the comedians a challenge to tell a joke from this joke book called The Little Book of Shit Jokes by Sid Finch. Aha. Oh, you weren't. Don't tell me you scoured it. And I like to ask all the comedians that come on here to pick a joke from this joke book, tell it live on stage, film it, post it on Instagram, tag us in it, and we can all laugh at your efforts. The title of the book is very apt. It is shit. But the trick is that comedians don't get to pick the joke by its words. They only get to pick it by page number. So whatever they get, and it's up to them how they incorporate into their set or whatever they do with it.
Yeah.
And if you pick a page number that's already gone, we keep going, because no comedian should have the same joke unless you want to put a different twist on it. So if you want to give me a number between 5 and 95.
69.
Bingo. That was the first one picked.
Oh, yeah, I bet it was. All right. 66.
Ooh, England World Cup year.
Yeah.
Okay.
6 is my lucky number.
The joke I want you to tell on stage, and I'll send you the well, you've got the book, you can have a look, is patient says, "I'm sorry, doctor, I'm just so nervous. This is my first operation." Doctor says, "That's okay, it's mine too."
All right. I like that. I can do that. What a good idea. I like this. I'll write that down.
Yeah, have a bit of fun with it. As long as you keep the premise the same, record it. Like I say, tag us on, put it on Instagram, tag us. We can laugh. Some of them have been absolutely diabolical, and some of them have been quite good. And some people have created toppers on their stuff.
Yeah.
What one guy, I still say this every time that I've mentioned it, Matt Lowe's, he had a really shit joke. He did it at the start, and he did this whole routine, and he did a callback to it at the end. And it was just it was beautiful.
Amazing.
I just watched it and was like, that's far beyond anything I ever expected that would come from this.
Nice.
But it's cool. It's cool.
I like that. Yeah. Well, and that's a good idea as well. I like the way.
Yeah. So I guess lastly, where can people find you online?
So James Townsend Comedy is probably the best. James Townsend Comedy. I tend to be on the London circuit, so I'm always about. But yeah, that's where I post my gigs.
Yeah.
James Townsend Comedy on Instagram. It's pretty much the only thing that I use. I don't really like social media generally. No. But I use that, and I try to be pretty active on that. And also, like, I'll share people's, like, the nights and stuff like that. I try and promote all the bits and pieces. But yeah, I think I do have a YouTube channel, but I don't know what it's called. I'll probably get better at all that stuff. But I will get around to it at some point.
Cool.
But, yeah, man.
Okay. You can find us on Instagram too at Open Mic Comedy Pod. We've got a website, openmiccomedypod.com. Whichever platform you're listening to us on, please give it a like, follow, subscribe. 5-star rating would be lovely. Get us up the charts a bit more, and get these comedians heard. And feel free to make contact with these guys. You know, if you listen to them on here, like them, and you want to book them for your own nights, go for it. So yeah, lastly, thank you very much for your time today, James.
Thank you, Mark.
Thank you. It's been a lot of fun. And for the rest of you, I will speak to you all very, very soon.
Bye, everyone.